to Only God's Finest, and I would like to share something with you today that is a bit controversial, but you know, I'm kind of foolish enough maybe, or simple enough to believe what the Word says. And you know, I grew up in the Word. I was fortunate and blessed that, you know, I believe that I'm where I am today because my mother took me to the altar at a week old and dedicated me. And she's prayed for me my whole life. And I got to tell you, we need to thank God for mothers, because mothers, you know, every single person that is in our family, my grandmother, my uncles, they're all saved today because my mother prayed, and she prayed, and she prayed, and she prayed. And they told me that after I was 18, her brother said that she thought she wore her knees out praying for me, because like a lot of people at 18 and 19 run as far away from church as they can get. And I think part of the reason they run away as far from church as they can get is because of all the rules and regulations. And, you know, it really isn't about rules, regulations, and religion. It's about relationship. It's about spending time with God. You know, I had a situation recently where I was called in to be kind of like an intermediary. There was a group of business people, and they were all fighting amongst one another. And they were just like at each other's throats, and they were all Christians. And they came together to do business, and there was a conflict, of course, over money, which is where 90% of them are. And so they asked me to come in and see if I could kind of soothe the problem. And what I found was, you know, this one was saying this one was saying that. And I said, look, the first thing we need to do is forgive one another, and we need to pray. And as I started to pray, it's a very interesting experience that happened to me. As I started to pray, I started to grieve. And as I grieved, I started to weep. And I couldn't understand. I couldn't figure it out. It was like, I don't even hardly know these people. And I went to the bathroom, washed my face, and I asked God, God, what was this all about? He says, you were feeling what I was feeling. And I said, what is that? He said, the body of Christ does not get along. But he said, with even more. I said, but God, they're Christians. He said, Christians. He said, they call themselves Christians. He said, but the issue is, are they really Christians? He said, how could they be Christians? They spend 1 hour a week with me on Sunday. And the reality is it's about relationship. It's about intimacy. It's about knowing God and knowing Him in such a way that you know what He desires. You know what His Word says. You spend time. You know, the Bible was written to be a guideline, a roadmap for how we're to live our life, the things that we're supposed to do. It tells us everything we need to know in the Word about handling money, about how to raise our children, about making decisions. Everything we need to know is in there. We just need to spend time in it to be able to know. But even more importantly, we need to spend time with God. How much time a day do you spend with God? You want God to work for you? You want God to move for you? Well, He'll move for you if you get to know Him. And only by getting to know Him can you get to know Him by spending time with Him. I hope you take this in, you absorb it. I hope it's something that adds to your life, and I hope